Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Tackle Rat, and today I'm going to be recapping my win at the Potomac River. So if you guys follow my other channel, Carter with Jenko Fishing, where I upload like my tournaments and just random stuff, lifting sometimes, but I uploaded my Potomac River video where I won last week, and I didn't really talk a lot in that video about like what I was exactly doing. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw a lot of the footage, but I kind of want to explain what I was going through as a co-angler and kind of what baits I was throwing and you know what the deal was. So let's start at day one. So I mean, these 3 days were very similar. You know, the Potomac is a grass fishery, and guys were fishing a lot of submerged grass, and really finding the area within the area is the key in the Potomac, and kind of just finding where those groups of fish are key. So that's kind of what my boater had me around, and that's really good for co-anglers, but everyone had the same advantage because all these boaters were doing the same thing, you know, fishing these grass flats. And you had a couple different options. So normally a lot of guys will throw chatterbaits, swim jigs, speed worms, rattle traps, you know, a lot of moving baits that are going to cover water, come through the grass, and kind of create a reaction strike. But I switched it up a little bit this week and mainly had the spinning rod in my hands. Obviously the Potomac is a tidal fishery, so you're going to have water levels coming up and down, and that's going to affect the water clarity. It's going to affect where those fish are at, and it's going to affect that grass. And that grass was key because a lot of times I could see the grass, a lot of times I couldn't. And what I was doing, I was taking a wacky rig, just a very basic 5-inch Yamamoto Senko, black and blue, and I was pitching it to grass clumps and holes and stuff. And then when I couldn't see the grass, when the tide was high, I would just kind of cast it out and let it sink and kind of fish it through the grass, you know, kind of pull it through that grass, and I'll pop it out of the grass. It would drop into holes, or you know, those fish would be following it and they would eat it. So you know, I had a 5-inch size, kind of generated a little bit bigger bites than a 4-inch that I usually throw, and that's key. You know, the Potomac, even as a co-angler, you gotta have a bag every 3 days or every day. So you know, that was for sure key. But I was mainly just throwing this wacky rig over the grass on day one. I don't think I weighed a fish in doing anything else. I might have caught a couple fish on a speed worm, but there was a cold front, you know, at the beginning of the tournament, and that really shut those fish off. You know, you could catch a few fish on moving bait bites, but it really was not the same as what it was like in practice. You know, in practice, you know, we had high sun and you had a little bit chop, and they were just eating that moving bait, you know, chatterbait, swim jig. But the second day, obviously running kind of the same deal, but then I mixed in a couple different things. So we had post-front conditions now. So you had high sun, no wind, no clouds really, and the water warmed up a bunch. And you know, generally in those conditions, it would be pretty tough, but I did get them to eat the trap for an hour. You know, about an hour. I made a couple culls with it, I think. I'm not sure if I actually weighed in any fish on the trap, but I did catch several fish that I culled out on just a 1/2-ounce rattle trap. You know, like that last hour of outgoing or that first hour of incoming are key times, and it really doesn't matter. In my opinion, I don't think it matters, you know, what you have as far as conditions. You know, those fish are chewing. But obviously throwing that trap, and as you can see, wore the paint off it. I mean, this color, it's just a gold sexy shad, ain't nothing special, kind of just what I had in my box, so that's why I threw it. But I was throwing a 765 CB glass. It's a great open water rod, but definitely would have gone with a heavier glass rod or just a 734 or something, because the grass is pretty thick there, and it was a 1/2-ounce trap, so it was pretty difficult to fish with this rod, but it got it done for a little bit there. And just Corrado DC, 14-pound fluoro. And then as far as the wacky rig setup, I didn't really talk as much about that, but just a 703 is kind of what I've been rocking with for the past couple of seasons for the wacky rig. 703, 2500 Stratic, and then 10-pound braid to 10-pound fluoro. And I was using no O-ring this time. As if you guys watch my Chickamauga recap, made a couple tweaks to this little deal right here. I'm no longer running a weed guard, no O-ring, and it definitely worked this week. I was hooking. I don't think I lost a single fish on a wacky rig. There was a couple that I hooked them and lost them after a couple seconds, but you never know those kind of bites. The last day we were fishing kind of topped out. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was like hydrilla. I mean, you guys can see in that video a couple fish catches, but in the morning it started out high, and it was outgoing, and that's where I caught several key fish on a wacky rig, because you still had a couple feet of water over that grass. So I was kind of fishing over that stuff and getting bit, and the water is super clean, as you guys can see. But then when the tide got down, really all you could fish was a frog. So I just had a little noise, NF60 I believe is what it's called. I think I used a Spiro too, but yeah, just a nice little black walking frog, compact profile, and then 736 and a Bantam MGL 65-pound braid. Yeah, that was the deal for the frog. And then the other setup that you guys probably saw in that video, it was a drop shot with braid to fluoro on a bait caster, and I was using like a 3/16 ounce, and I was actually re-rigging the rod to shoot this video, and it literally just broke. Like, I was putting the rod through the guides, or the line through the guides, and like I pulled on it and it just broke. So I don't have it, but I mean, there's some titanium that I was using. This reel was actually key, because it was a pretty light, drop shot setup. It had I was throwing a 6-inch RoboWorm Margarita Mutilator with a just 3/16 drop shot weight, pitching it at those pilings on those docks, and using 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, and then 40-pound braid, and 742 Dobbins Champion Extreme. So that was the deal for that drop shot setup, and I think those were my two biggest fish of the week that I caught on that drop shot. So definitely a deal when you get into that stained water, that purple Margarita Mutilator type of color. But yeah, that was pretty much my 4 setups. It was really the past couple tournaments I've really fine-tuned that co-angler deal, just fishing very simple. At least for me, my mindset when I'm fishing as a co-angler, just having, like, I don't like having a lot of stuff, because it gets in my head and I'm like, oh, should I throw this? Should I throw this? So I just kept it simple. Wacky rig, drop shot, rattle trap a little bit, speed worm a little bit, and frog. And that was it. That's how I did it. Ain't really no secrets there. It was just a round fish, made the right cast, stayed focused the entire day, and that's how you get it done. So I'm headed to Champlain now, or St. Clair first actually for BFL, and then Champlain. So definitely gonna be some cool smallmouth videos. Last time I went up there last year was awesome trip. I finished 4th there at Champlain. So amazing fishery for sure. So that's a recap of the Potomac River. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Tackle Rat. Thanks for watching.